All right, this is Mr. Gillum, and today we're going to learn a little bit about substitution. So maybe you've done this a little bit in 5th grade, maybe not, but today we're going to substitute in numbers for the variables, okay? And so when we talk about substitution, it's like changing a car tire. All right, you take the old tire off and you substitute it with the new tire. Now the old tire and the new tire might not match exactly, but they still both move your car from place to place. So when we substitute in math, we start with something like this, an expression. All right, and in this expression, we know it's an expression because there is no equal sign. So in this expression, we have a variable and a constant, a variable of m and a constant of -9. I could make m worth any value that I want. It could be 2, it could be 4, but in the math problem, it's going to tell you one specific value that m is worth. And so what we're going to do is this. Okay, we're going to start with the m minus 9, and we know that m equals 2. I'm going to rewrite the expression, but where the variable is, I'm going to replace that or substitute that with parentheses. So I'm going to write m minus 9. I'm going to take out the m. I'm going to put in some open parentheses. All right. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to, inside the parentheses, put the value that is representing the variable. So in this case, we know the variable represents the number 2. So I'm going to put the 2 in the parentheses there. And let's change this to a plus, since we haven't talked about adding integers yet. And then the last thing to do would be to simplify. So once we see that there's no operations, meaning no addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division inside the parentheses, we can disregard the parentheses and follow order of operations. 2 plus 9 is 11. So if I were to evaluate that expression, I know that I would simplify it down all the way to 11. Okay, so let's take a look here. It says evaluate each expression. X is 2, Y is 3, and Z is -2. So I think I'm going to edit this just a hair. Let's make Z 5. So we have 2, 3, and 5. No negative numbers for now. Just 2, 3, and 5. Okay, so what I'm going to do is step 1, I'm going to rewrite the problem with open parentheses where the variable used to be. So the variable turned into these open parentheses. Now I'm going to put the value in that I know x represents. So the 2 in this case is going to go into those open parentheses. Now I'm going to do order of operations. Because there's no operation left in the parenthesis, I can just think of this as 2 plus 9. And so in this case, we would know that 11 would be our solution. I hate to say solution. When we evaluate this expression, the outcome is 11. All right. So again, let's try another one. This time it says 18 divided by y. So we're going to start with 18 divided by, and then some open parentheses for whatever that variable equals. And now the reason we use open parentheses is going to be because later on when we have negative numbers, it's going to be confusing with the signs, with the positive and negative signs if you don't keep it in parentheses. Also, a variable could equal more than one thing. So it could be like y equals 3 minus x or something like that. So we always use parentheses on our first step, and I want you to use parentheses on your homework as well. Inside the parentheses this time is a y. So I know y is equal to 3, so let's put a 3 in there. Now I'm going to check to see if there's any operations inside the parentheses. Obviously in this example there are no operations in the parentheses, so I can think of this as 18 divided by 3, and I know that that equals 6. So in this case, when I evaluate that expression with the variable, I know it's 6. On the next one here, 2x plus z, 2 variables this time. So let's rewrite it with 2 open sets of parentheses. And for the x goes the number 2. And for the z, we're going to replace that or substitute that with a 5. Now, when the numbers are squished up right next to the parentheses, like here, they don't write the multiplication sign, but it does represent multiplication. I see that in either parenthesis there's no operations inside the parentheses. There's no addition, subtraction, or multiplication, or division. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite this as 2 times 2. Like I said, there's a multiplication sign here that you can't see, and right there that you can't see that you don't write. You just know it's multiplication when it's squished together, and plus 5. And now I'm going to follow order of operations. So I'm looking for parentheses, exponents, then multiply and divide. So I know that 2 times 2 needs to happen first. So we have 4 plus 5, or 4 plus 5 would equal 9. Okay, order of operations. So when I evaluate this 2x plus z, it also represents the value of 9. And then finally, 5 times y minus 2x, or 2 times x. So let's rewrite it again with parentheses. In the first parentheses goes the y, and y is represented by 3. So I'm going to substitute a 3 in for the y. I take the y out, I put the 3 in, like changing a tire. Where the x is, I'm not going to put an x anymore, I'm going to put a 2. Now notice on each of the first step, when I put those parentheses in there, there's no variables anymore. We're replacing the variables with numbers. So as we're evaluating these, there shouldn't be any variables once I substitute. So now the next thing will be to check to see if there's operations. There's no operations in there, there's no operations in there, so I can disregard those parentheses, and I have 5 times 3 minus 2 times 2. And so, of course, order of operations says I need to multiply and divide first from left to right before I add and subtract. So I'm going to say 15. I'm going to rewrite everything else exactly the same. Minus 2 times 2. And before I do 15 minus 2, I need to do my multiplication. 15 minus 4. In this case, the expression is equal to 11 if I evaluate. All right. So this is basically how substitution works, and today what we're going to do is we're going to look at some inequalities. All right, we're going to determine which values that the variable could be. Now, we are looking for, and more specifically, which values make the inequality true. All right, now remember, an expression, no equal sign, or less than, greater than, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. Okay, it doesn't have any of these things. An equation looks like the word equal, has an equal sign, and an inequality, meaning not equal, is something like greater than, less than, greater than or equal to, or less than or equal to. We call those inequalities. So if there's no equals or inequality, it's an expression. If there's an equals, it's an equation. Greater thans and less thans are called inequalities. So we're trying to figure out which values make this inequality true. So we want to make sure that this side is less than 92. So let's use substitution. In this case, it says 10 times something, e, plus 3 has to be less than 92. All right. Now I'm going to do a little bit of erasing. I want you to write down everything that I write down. Okay, so I'm going to start in green with A. Now, E is 10 in this case, so I'm going to try it with 10. And I'm going to follow order of operations. So 10 times 10 plus 3 is less than 92. Well, let's figure this out here. 10 times 10 is 100. And 100 plus 3 is 103. Is 103 less than 92? No, it's not. So A is not a value that the variable could be. Okay, the variable E cannot be 10 because 103 is not less than 92. All right, so again, if you need to pause it for a second, that's fine. I'm going to erase the green. I'm going to move on to the blue marker. Okay, and the blue for B. B is 4. So instead of E being 10, we're going to try 4. And again, I'm going to follow order of operations. I don't see any operations in there. I'm going to rewrite everything else exactly the same. And I'm just following order of operations. 10 times 4 is 40. And 40 plus 3 is 43. Is 43 less than 92? Yes, it is. So we know that the value for E could be 4. 4 would be okay. So B is part of our answer. Now let's check another one. I'm going to write in black this time. All right, and in black, we're going to say, we're going to try C, which is 6. So if E was 6, would this be a true inequality? Okay, 10 times 6 plus 3 is less than 92. 60 plus 3, is that less than 92? Is 63 less than 92? Yes, it is. 63 is less than 92, so C could also be a value of E that makes the inequality true. And finally, we'll go with the red for D. Letter D, so it's like a multiple choice. Letter D asks, would 2 be an appropriate value for E? Well, we'd have 10 times 2 plus 3 is less than 92. And we know 2 times 10 is 20, plus 3 is less than 92. Is 23 less than 92? Yes, it is. So I know that D could also be one of my solutions. So my answer would be choice B, choice C, and choice D. The values of E could be 4, it could be 6, or it could be 2 out of those choices. All right, so let's do one more just for good measure, and I'll go a little quicker this time. Again, I'm going to substitute these values in for E, and I'm going to decide, is that inequality true? Okay, and when I say inequality, I'm talking about that less than sign. So again, I'm going to do a little erasing. I'm going to put my original problem here, and I want you to write down everything that I write down, but you don't need to erase. So I'm going to try 1 first. And so I know 4 times 1 plus 5 should be less than 47. Is 4 plus 5 less than 47? Or is 9 less than 47? And again, I need to make sure I'm following order of operations. Is that less than 47? Yes, it is. So I know that choice A, if E was 1, that could be a solution. All right. What if we tried choice B, 9, if E was 9? Okay, well, 4 times 9 plus 5, is that less than 47? Is 36 plus 5 less than 47? Or 41 less than 47? In this case, 41 is less than 47, so yes. E could be represented by the value of 9. All right, let's try the next one here. I think you're starting to get the idea, I hope. We're just practicing our substitution skills. And then if E is the value of 4. Well, okay, 4 times 4 plus 5 is less than 47. There's no operations in those parentheses. And we're following order of operations. Multiplication needs to happen before addition. And then I have 21 is less than 47. Is that true? Well, yes, it is. So I know that E could equal 4. So choice C would be appropriate. And finally, let's try D. We'll go to the blue marker. If the E was 10, I'm replacing the E, the variable E, with 10. I would say, okay, well, 4 times 10 plus 5, is that less than 47? Let's figure this out here. 4 times 10 is 40. And 40 plus 5 is 45. Is 45 less than 47? Yes, it is. So any of these choices would be appropriate values for E in this case. All right, so on my answer key, I would put A, B, C, and D. Okay, those are all examples. As you can see, as the numbers got bigger, we got closer and closer to 47, but we stayed below. So I bet you if we picked a number bigger than 10, we would start having solutions that didn't work because it would be too big. But that's it for today. Practicing substitution and simplifying using order of operations.